The untouchable legacy of Sean "Jay-Z" Carter has officially entered a state of absolute career meltdown, and the forensic evidence is finally exposing a massive financial disaster. For decades, the public believed the myth of the billionaire mogul who never lost, but the receipts show that $42 million is missing from the Roc Nation treasury. This financial hole is not a mistake or a simple rounding error, because the forensic proof shows that Jay-Z is quietly selling off the company piece by piece to save himself from total ruin. The truth is finally out because federal investigators have traced the missing funds back to a series of shell companies that were never disclosed to shareholders or the government. The contract proves that Jay-Z has been liquidating his stakes in the very empire he built while maintaining a public image of total success. The reality of the situation is that the King of New York is currently trapped in a corner with the SEC closing in on every single one of his business interests. The forensic proof shows that the $42 million deficit resulted from years of internal theft and gross mismanagement that the mogul tried to hide with high-interest loans. Now the bills have finally come due, and the forensic evidence is about to blow the lid off the biggest fraud in the history of the music industry. The downfall began when an internal audit for the 2025 fiscal year revealed a series of unexplained transfers that moved millions of dollars into offshore accounts in the Cayman Islands. The forensic proof shows that these transfers were intentionally disguised as marketing expenses and talent fees, but the money never actually reached any legitimate artists or vendors. The truth is that $42 million was siphoned out of the Roc Nation accounts right under the nose of the leadership team, and now Jay-Z is being forced to testify under oath about where that money went. The villain in this story is no longer the cool and collected businessman, but a desperate person who is watching his net worth evaporate in real time. The forensic evidence confirms that Sean Carter has already signed a secret letter of intent to sell a 60% controlling stake in Roc Nation to a private equity group just to cover the missing funds. This quiet sale is the only thing keeping the doors open at the moment, but the documents show the buyers are already demanding a full investigation into every dollar spent since 2019. The receipts show that the primary accounting firm for the brand, BDO, was caught in the middle of a massive embezzlement scheme where employees were literally stealing from the personal accounts of the mogul. This was not a small error, because the forensic proof shows that over $42 million was moved through ghost accounts before anyone even realized the circle was compromised. Instead of going public with the theft when it was discovered, the leadership chose to hide the loss to protect the image of the brand, and that is exactly where the criminal liability begins. The SEC investigation has now shifted its focus to why these massive losses were never reported to the partners or the federal government as required by law. The forensic proof is found in the SEC subpoenas issued in early 2026, which explicitly state that Roc Nation made materially false and misleading statements regarding its total asset values. The truth is that the company claimed to be worth billions, while the forensic evidence shows that $42 million of its liquid cash was simply gone. The strategy was to run out the clock on the investigators and hope the situation would resolve itself, but the federal judge has now ordered Jay-Z to appear in court without any further delays. The contract proves that the Roc Nation name was used to secure massive loans from real estate giants like SL Green to fund the Times Square casino project that eventually failed. When that deal was rejected by state regulators, it created a massive debt trap that the mogul could not escape without selling off his most prized assets. The forensic proof shows that he has been quietly selling his music catalog rights and his stakes in luxury brands just to keep the lights on at the office. The receipts were about to go public, and what they showed was a level of deception that nobody was ready for. The forensic evidence reveals that the business was essentially running a revolving door of debt where new brand deals were used to pay off old investors, while the missing $42 million continued to grow due to interest. The deceit reached a breaking point when his former partner Damon Dash was forced into a public auction of his stake in Roc-A-Fella Records. While the public narrative was that of a legal victory against an old rival, the forensic proof shows that Jay-Z was actually terrified of the auction because it would allow a third party to gain access to the internal ledgers. The truth is that the auction was fought not out of loyalty to the legacy, but out of fear that the missing millions would be discovered by the new owners of the stake. The forensic evidence proves that the rights to the album Reasonable Doubt were being used as collateral for a secret $20 million loan that was never disclosed to other shareholders. This is the definition of a total career meltdown because the man who preached ownership was caught using his master recordings as a pawn in a high-stakes gambling game to cover his tracks. The narrative of the self-made billionaire is unraveling as the forensic proof shows that even the philanthropic efforts were part of the financial smoke and mirrors. The receipts prove that the Roc Nation school was actually being used as a tax write-off to hide the $42 million loss, while students were promised scholarships that did not exist. The forensic evidence shows that while the mogul was posing for photos with world leaders, his accountants were scrambling to explain why millions of dollars in tuition fees were being diverted to pay off mounting legal bills. The truth is that the hero in this story is the truth itself, which is finally breaking through the wall of silence that the inner circle has maintained for years. The villain is currently in downfall mode because his fixer attorneys can no longer stop the flow of leaks coming from inside the building. The forensic proof shows that several high-level executives have already turned state's evidence to avoid going down with the ship when the arrests finally happen. These witnesses have provided the forensic accountants with the exact codes and account numbers used to move the $42 million out of the country. And things only got worse when the forensic proof shifted to the NFL deal. The truth is that the role as the musical advisor for the NFL was actually a desperate move to gain access to new streams of capital to plug the $42 million hole in the company books. The receipts show that there was an attempt to leverage the NFL connection to secure a massive buyout from a major media conglomerate, but the deal fell through once the forensic audit started. The plan to quietly sell the company was ruined because no serious investor wanted to touch a brand that was under active investigation for securities fraud. The forensic proof confirms that personal art collections and several luxury homes are now being sold in a fire sale to raise the cash needed to settle with the government. The contract proves that a significant portion of the Arrive venture capital firm has already been offloaded to unknown buyers in the Middle East. The truth is that the foundation of the empire was built on $42 million of missing money and a mountain of lies that can no longer be sustained. The legal battle is currently raging behind the scenes as the legal team attempts to block the release of the Rodriguez files, which contain the full breakdown of the internal theft. Receipts show that the employee Vanessa Rodriguez was not acting alone, and that the $42 million siphoning was part of a larger culture of financial negligence at the top of the organization. The forensic proof shows that the mogul's signature was on several of the documents that allowed the money to be moved, which means he either knew about the theft or was so incompetent that he didn't notice $42 million leaving his accounts. Either way, the career meltdown is total and irreversible because the trust of the industry has been broken. The forensic evidence shows that the pivot to a new distribution model was just a way to create a new entity that was clean from the debts of the old company, but the SEC has already seen through the scheme. The truth is that you cannot hide a $42 million crime by simply changing the name on the door and moving to a new office. The lies are unraveling at a speed that no one expected because the forensic proof is being shared in real time across the financial sector. The receipts show that Sean Carter is no longer the chairman in anything but name, and that the private equity firms are now the ones making the real decisions for the brand. The contract proves that he has been stripped of his voting rights in several key divisions of the company as part of the quiet sale agreement. The forensic proof shows that he is effectively an employee of his own brand while he works to pay back the missing millions that were siphoned out under his watch. This is the ultimate humiliation for a man who built his entire career on being the boss and the owner of his own destiny. The forensic evidence confirms that the public image of a financial genius was a carefully constructed lie designed to attract more victims to his business deals. The truth is that the missing $42 million is just the tip of the iceberg, and the forensic proof suggests that the total loss could exceed $100 million once the final audit is complete. The forensic proof is in the emails where the inner circle discussed the liquidation plan in late 2025 as the walls were closing in. These emails show that the mogul was fully aware that the empire was collapsing and that he was looking for an exit strategy that would allow him to keep his reputation intact while the company burned. The receipts prove that he tried to blame the missing money on the BDO scandal alone, but the forensic accountants found that the siphoning had been happening for years before those employees were even hired. The truth is that the company was being used as a personal piggy bank to fund a lifestyle that actual business profits could not support. The forensic proof shows that the billionaire status was only possible through massive amounts of leverage, and the missing $42 million was the cash that was supposed to pay back the lenders. The architect of his own destruction is now facing the reality that there is no hustle left that can save him from the forensic truth. The final nail in the coffin was the forensic proof regarding the sports division of the brand. The receipts show that several high-profile athletes have already started the process of firing their representation because they found massive discrepancies in their own royalty checks. The forensic evidence confirms that the $42 million missing from the main treasury was partially made up of funds that belonged to the athletes themselves. The truth is that money was being borrowed from client accounts to cover the company's operating expenses, and the missing money is the proof of that betrayal. The contract proves that several major endorsement deals were signed using misleading terms to ensure that the cash went to the company first instead of the talent it was supposed to represent. The forensic proof shows that the legal investigations have uncovered a pattern of predatory behavior that has shocked the entire sports world. The total career meltdown is unavoidable because the reputation among the elite is officially dead and gone. The conclusion is clear, and the forensic proof is undeniable for anyone who cares to look at the documents. Jay-Z is not the king he claimed to be, but a businessman who got lost in his own hype and allowed $42 million to vanish into thin air while he smiled for the cameras. The truth is that the quiet sale of the company is the final act of a man who is trying to run away from his own failures before the handcuffs come out and the jail cell door closes. Forensic evidence shows that the empire is hollow, and the missing millions are the only thing left of the legacy he tried so hard to build. The architect of this disaster will spend the rest of his career in a courtroom trying to explain why the books do not match the bank accounts, while the forensic proof continues to stack up against him. Receipts show that the price of the Billionaire brand was $42 million of other people's money in a lifetime of deceit that has finally come to an end. The truth is finally out, and the forensic proof has spoken louder than any rap lyric ever could in a recording studio. The cost of a lie is always higher than you think, and Sean Jay-Z Carter is about to pay the ultimate price for his $42 million mistake. The reign of the mogul is over, and the forensic accountants are the ones who finally took the crown.